Let's talk about Harry Potter. Hey guys! Those of you who follow me on Twitter know that last week I finished rereading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, whichever way you want to put it. And I plan on rereading the whole series, and I wanted to share with you guys my reactions to rereading this, because this is actually the first reread of Harry Potter that I've done that I would consider my adult reread. There used to be a time that I would read the series every single year. And it has been that way since I became a fan of the books when I was in 5th grade. And so this is the first time in my entire experience of being a Harry Potter fan that it's been a couple of years since I've read the books. So that's what kind of makes this a special reread for me, because I'm excited to see how it will affect me now that I am in this point of my life, because every time I reread the series, I learn something new. So both as I was reading this book and the moment that I finished the book, I was taking notes on some thoughts, and we're just gonna go through those random thoughts. So first off, it's very interesting because I have always said that Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is actually my least favorite of the books. That always surprises people because I think I'm very much in the minority of that. The first book is the only one of the books that I always would, like, when I was rereading it, find myself getting a little bored with it. Like, it's the only one of the books that I would feel that way about, and while I'm saying this, I obviously love all of the books, but if I had to narrow it down, the first one always made me feel that way. And right from the get-go, I felt entirely different during this reread. I in fact think that this book probably has the best pacing of all of the books. Like, I really was paying attention to it, and every single chapter had something that was actively pushing the story forward. Like, there were no filler chapters or just for fun chapters, and I don't know why I've never seen that before. So already we're off to a very interesting start to the reread of this series. Also, it should be noted that I read the first 6 chapters of this book in one sitting, and I don't know why. I think because the first couple chapters of this book are very nostalgic ones, like Harry goes to Diagon Alley for the first time, he finds out he's a wizard, and there's the Hogwarts letter thing, but for the first 6 chapters, I cried at the end of each one of them, so adult status right here. The next thing I want to talk about is that it's hard to remember a time once you've read all of the books in which Voldemort is not the assumed baddie of the books. Like, he's not really the assumed villain in the second book either, but in the first book, besides Harry finding out who Voldemort is not suspected of having anything to do with what's going on at the school until 250 pages in. And just to make sure that your perspective is in check for this book is only 309 pages long. Like, Snape is the only suspected villain in the first book. He obviously doesn't end up being the villain, but he is arguably the villain of the first book. And it's just crazy to think that there was a time where, like, they didn't all just think, could be Voldemort. So I'm definitely gonna make some people angry with what I have to say next. But I had forgotten just how much of a brat Draco Malfoy is. I have a lot of friends whose favorite character is Draco Malfoy and who, like, really love Draco, and so I'm sorry guys, but honestly, he is so terrible in the first book, right from the get-go. I understand why some people like him, because later on in the books they really do give you a reason to, like, kind of understand him a little bit more and pity him, but oh my god, he's awful. And segueing off of that, I wanted to mention that it only takes the Harry Potter series 77 pages before it makes fun of a Hufflepuff. The very first thing we hear about Hufflepuff is said by Draco Malfoy in Madame Malkin's, and he says, "I'll be in Slytherin, all of our family have been. Imagine being in Hufflepuff? I think I'd leave, wouldn't you?" Like, can anyone blame us for making fun of Hufflepuff for all of these years? I'm glad that we live in a much more understanding Hufflepuff society now. Thank you, Pottermore. I love you, Hufflepuffs. You're great. I'm actually pretty sure that this was my first reread knowing that I was a Ravenclaw. I can't remember if the last time I did, if I knew that I was properly sorted into Ravenclaw. But I can tell you that during this reread, every time I saw my house mentioned, there was like a little whoop that happened in my brain. About 2 weeks ago, I was talking on a Skype call with one of my Patreon lovelies, Jasmine, and we were discussing how every time we read the series, how we feel a new connection to a character that we may never have before. And I can tell you guys, in my last reread, I felt a very strong connection to Ron. He was like my end-all. I was like, yes, I feel you. And right off the bat now from this reread, I'm feeling much more of a pull towards Hermione and Harry. I felt a pull towards Hermione before. She was the first ever character I did feel a connection with, but now I like totally get Harry, which is so weird because like she even said it on her Skype call, Harry's never the one that people like feel towards. So I'm gonna keep you guys updated on that because I find that to be very interesting. And the last thing that I want to talk about in depth is just J.K. Rowling's mind, because it's been a little while since I've read this book and she's just a mastermind. Like reading the first book and seeing that in the first 14 pages of the first book, Sirius Black's name is mentioned. It's just like so crazy. The amount of factors that seem so tiny or like just seem like fly away little details that would become so important in the grand scheme of things is just how? And there are countless things that I can name like Beozers and Griphook and Ferenz the Centaur and just it's really just so amazing. I just love her. I really do. I love you, J.K. Rowling, and I don't care who knows it. So the last thing that I'm going to do at the end of each one of these reread videos is I'm going to do a little Spitfire favorites sort of thing to see where I'm at for each book. So here we go. Favorite chapter, The Mirror of Erised, which is also depicted on the back of this book, and I think it's so beautiful. Favorite quote, every child in our world will know his name because J.K. Rowling, if that isn't a real life prophecy, I don't know what is. Favorite character, Neville Longbottom, just what a precious snowflake. Favorite spell, Petrificus Totalis. Sorry, Neville. And favorite beast, Ferenz the Centaur. And that is how I felt about my first adult reread of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. If you are rereading it right now, or if you have reread it as an adult, please leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. You guys know that there is nothing that I would love to discuss more than Harry Potter, honestly. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button so I know, and subscribe to see more shenanigans like this. If you want to go the extra mile and help me make these videos possible, please check out patreon.com/shutupkristen. And otherwise, it's time for me to enter the Chamber of Secrets. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!